Paulie Malignaggi here for another episode of Paulie TV. You know, we like to get guests on sometimes. Sometimes we just talk a bunch of crap and just, get your debates and opinions. And we just give my opinions. Well, today we got a guest. Super featherweight prospect Andres Cortes and his brother Louis Cortes, who is his trainer. Okay, now we tend to see some father-son combinations in as far as boxer and trainer in boxing, but rarely we get the brother and boxer combination, right? So at least as far as the trainer, because a lot of times the brother's either boxing himself or he's not boxing and he's just doing something else completely, So in this case, it's a not your typical combination, but it's a family affair nonetheless. So welcome to the show, bro. What's going on?
Thank you.
What's going on, guys? Having a good day or what? All right, we're gonna wake you guys. Up. So first of all, let's start. I saw the user from Las Vegas. So I remember when I was coming up the ladder, we hadn't had a Las Vegas-born world champion. A lot of boxers move to Las Vegas and they win world championships, but Las Vegas-born world champions. And during my generation, E.J. Smith became a Las Vegas-born world champion. Where's your family originally from? They moved here from California, or have they been here in Vegas for a while?
My parents met in L.A.
LA.
So my brother was born in L.A.
Okay.
I was born here. I was born and raised in Vegas. So
you got a chance to actually add to that list soon, right?
yeah, I'm gonna be one of the greatest to ever come out of Vegas.
Good stuff, man. First, before we get into your career, how'd you guys? I gotta ask, how did the combination of fighter and trainer start among brothers? How did you guys come to that decision?
We went through some hard times and just life. And so he'll tell you he was national champ multiple times, and everybody was kind of banking on him to do something good.
Are you older, Louis?
Yeah.
Okay. So you always the older brother always kind of sets the building blocks. A lot of times it sets the example.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just he didn't have the discipline, and in boxing takes all it is discipline. And he started going with girls, smoking, drinking, and that's a huge downfall. And I kind of learned from that, and I seen what you can and can't do. And I don't know, I just kind of stayed disciplined, and he wanted to stop boxing and I wanted to continue. And a lot of times that's what I say, people lead by example, right? But a lot of times even examples will teach you what to do and also what not to do a lot of times, and your brother ended up being a teacher in things that he did. We had success as an amateur, but also things that he did that weren't privy to, that maybe some other people aren't privy to, understanding how bad they can be to continue to compete as an elite level fighter. So what happened with you, Lou? Why don't you start with you first, then, man? What national? How many times did you win the nationals?
3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
Which tournaments?
Got the gold gloves, got the JOs, and the silver gloves.
Man, so you got the national golden glove too. So you got a senior tournaments in there as well. And all right, how many amateur fights did you guys both have?
I had like 130.
130, and you, Lou?
Like 100.
100. All right. And at what point did it start going sideways for you, man? Like, were you still an amateur, or did you turn pro?
I wanted to go pro really bad.
Because I'm sure as a national Golden Glove champion, you're getting some offers, right?
Not really. Believe it or not, not really. I really wanted to go pro. I just didn't know how to go pro. All I knew was just the amateur program, And of course, things got hard. I had to find ways to get money or whatever, But all we knew was this amateur program. So then my brother was still extremely involved with the amateurs. So then, I was like, well, let's start working together, So I always had a passion, I've been passion driven all my life. Of course, I was raised in Las Vegas, not the friendliest place, a lot of distractions, casinos, places to go, whatever, But I think it's been a blessing in disguise. I feel like us combining together makes us much stronger than being individual boxers, But
and also I think that the family situation makes you want the best for one another.
Amen.
Amen. I feel like with siblings, you just grow up together. Use maybe use shared rooms, or use just hang out together. The father-son combination is. It definitely has worked plenty for fighters, but with brothers, it's interesting because you don't see the dynamic that much with trainers, but you kind of know each other. A lot of times, siblings know each other better than the parents know them. Because you're talking about everything, and you're not discussing with parents. So when you're talking in the corner, you're talking in the gym, you tentatively you have arguably you have a dynamic that goes beyond just the typical trainer and fighter routine. Do you argue? I mean, with siblings, I remember me and my siblings used to argue and fight a lot. Me and my brother, we were close. So how does the argument end up with when you arguing as a trainer and fighter? Are you able to separate the fact that you're brothers? Because with me and my brothers, bro, we used to come to blows. So how do you avoid that and make it an understanding that you are in charge when it's in the gym?
You know what, man? We have a very special relationship. We've been through it all, of course. We've been with the rumbles and tumbles in the house, But I think at the end of the day, that just made us stronger. I don't like that energy. I try to stay extremely positive, mentally. So, I think you grow up, and we grew up in a very special way. And in the gym, I mean, we just push each other, Like, my passion is boxing, and my dream was once to be a world champion. Like, I used to wake up and think about it, shadow box, whatever, you know how it goes. Mm-hmm. So it's like when my brother touches that world title, I'm gonna get that relief off my back and probably shed a little tear or something. But
yeah,
that's my motive. So when he goes hard in the gym, it motivates me. Like, we go 45 to an hour in the ring, like with the pads and the sticks and the body bag and the whole 9 yards. I think that's what makes us a tad bit different from everybody else. A lot of these trainers, they got all these fighters they gotta focus on. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. I just focus on my brother, and I love my brother. So that's what makes this extremely beautiful.
And you brought up passion. It's a word I've seen you now bring up a couple of times, and it's something that I always bring up. I always bring up the fact that anything you do in life, you can't really excel at it unless there's passion and enthusiasm behind it. I remember I used to hear the saying when I was a kid, like, "Oh, if you don't do, you got to do what you love. You'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah,
you got to do what you love." But I'm like, I used to think like, I wasn't even boxing at the time, but I used to think like, who loves to go to work, man? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you do it because you have to, like, and then usually you get older, you realize you have, some people have certain interests and they enjoy going to work. You know what I mean? Then, sometimes, you eventually get old enough to have a girlfriend and you just enjoy not being around her all the time. So you go to work, so you can get away from her and then go back home, to have split your time. Or just in general, that you realize the most important part, that passion and enthusiasm makes you get better because you're working so hard. And if it doesn't feel like work, you're getting better without feeling the drag of, oh, this is hard work. I remember, I don't know what you guys think, but I remember people look at me like, how do you do that? Doesn't it hurt? Or, the stupid questions that the layman or the regular people ask you, the casuals, like, I could never do that every day. And I remember thinking, bro, I could never go to work every day, on punching a clock. For me, that's a nightmare, but for them, the nightmare is, doing what we did, what you do, like having to deal with that is so hard, it's so difficult. But when you love it, you actually look forward to it, So it's important. I feel like that you brought up that passion. So how did you you went from having that passion as a fighter? When did you realize, that not only were you going to be your brother's trainer, but that, that passion that you could do it with that same passion that you would boxing or that you had when you were fighting? Because you mentioned something that I think all fighters that love this can understand. Getting up in the morning and just start shadow boxing randomly, bro.
Yeah,
I used to break my hands a lot early in my career. I was just chomping at the bit to get back in the gym, and I got this cast on my hand. I can remember moments like 2 a.m. where I'm waking up and I can't go back to sleep. I start shadow boxing with this cast on my hand because I can't hit nothing with it, And it was crazy. So how did you transfer that? When did you know that you were going to be able to do it? Because your brother said, okay, you started prioritizing other things and other things maybe you lost a little bit of the passion because other things became more fun. It just came natural.
Natural thing. I think this is just God's plan. Mm-hmm. I promise you, man.
Well, also too though, I was going to shows when he was working, like amateur shows, asking other coaches, hey, wrap me up, work my corner. Anyone I would see, hey, I know you, wrap me up, work my corner. And I was doing like tournaments like that. Mm-hmm. And so, I didn't really have nobody supporting me other than my brother. So it was kind of something that also just happened.
Yeah, it kind of just evolves. Yeah. It evolved naturally. Because you're like, why should I be asking everybody? I have my brother here, and he knows how to do all this stuff.
And it kind of became like a thing where trainers would argue to work my corner because I was always winning. Like, they knew if they work my corner, they're going to look good. Yeah. So it started becoming like that.
Why should get somebody else look good when you can make your brother look good? Of course, because you're working in private anyway, right? A lot of times,
Yeah, I mean, you know,
you ever get in there and spar still or no?
Man, I did it about like a year ago.
It ain't the same when you're not doing it consistently
it's
anymore.
hard
right?
to breathe up in there. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta really know how to breathe up in there. I think that's my biggest downfall, you know. But I enjoy it, man. Like, I think becoming a teacher in the outside point of view of the sport, you know, you grow more mentally, you know, and then
and as siblings, you're talking even outside the gym.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, you're really literally living and breathing this because things from the gym may come up outside the gym. Be like, yo, I like the way you did this, or what about if we work on this? You know, a lot of time. I mean, for me, when I would leave the gym, I would leave the gym. You know what I mean? I'll see my trainer later in the day for another workout or tomorrow. You know, but you kind of just have each other. You know, can speak at any point. You know, and situations can come up at any point. So you're improving mentally and psychologically even outside the gym all the time.
Yeah.
You know. So talk about your amateur career, Andres. How did you got started following your brother's footsteps?
Yeah.
How many? You said you had 130 amateur fights. Did you compete at the nationals?
Yeah. You know, sadly, I wasn't the best amateur because I didn't have like a real solid foundation.
Yeah, you were telling me you were getting other trainers to work your stuff. You know.
It was really always like just run a bunch of miles and for 2 weeks and go fight.
Yeah.
I did the national JOs. I did, but I beat all these good guys. I beat Olympians. I beat Teofimo Lopez multiple times. I beat, you know, all these guys. I dropped Carlos Valdez. You know, I had good fights with everybody. Anybody you can think of, I fought them. But it was just, what would separate was, I was never really prepared as you should be. So I'd have that little bit missing. But I got to represent USA. I went international. I beat Russian. You know, that's tough to do in those international
I've been in the amateurs.
Yeah.
Those are rough guys. You know?
Yeah, so I got to experience it all. But my main thing was always turning pro. I never wanted to be an Olympian. I never had that in my mind. It was always, you know, I wanted to
You just looked at your amateur career as a building block towards your pro career.
Yeah.
And I kind of did the same thing. You know, I had goals to accomplish as much as I could in the amateurs, but my ultimate goal was I wanted to be a professional boxing world champion. You know, I wanted to be on, at the time it was HBO and Showtime. I wanted to be on those networks and do what those guys, my heroes, were doing. You know, so of course, but you also set the smaller goals that lead you to the bigger goals. Once you turn pro, what year did you turn pro?
2016.
2016. And I know you signed the Top Rank now. Did you sign a Top Rank at that time, or did that come later?
No, so my first 3 fights I did in Mexico.
Okay.
And then I got picked up by Mayweather Promotions. I was with them for 3 years, did 9 fights.
Okay.
And then, so we've been working fight to fight with Top Rank. I knocked off one of their fighters. Then we just did a deal with them, so I just signed about like a month ago. Okay. And
it's a longer term deal, or is it
it's a long term.
Oh, longer term. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a manager, or you and your brother?
This is me and my brother.
Oh man,
all the way around.
This is great, man. All right,
man. You know, we've done.
This is like a movie, man. If you keep going, and you've got a good story, you know.
Yeah. We've dealt with a lot, you know.
Are your parents together?
They're split. They're split. Yeah.
There's like typical, like a lot of times it's kind of backgrounds.
Yeah. That's when it started going bad.
How old were you when your parents split?
I was about like 12.
Oh, you were 12? You were 17?
Yeah, 16. That's when it started going bad.
You see, I feel like that's a more challenging age. You see, my parents split when I was 6 years old. I don't feel like it was as bad for me. You know what I mean? It was bad, but I mean, you don't get to build something to miss it enough. You know what I mean? At that age, you 12 and 17, something has built up. And then when it goes away, you have to miss it. I only experienced one side of it, but I feel like just looking at it, I feel like it would be harder to go through the split at your age because a relationship has been built up within a family at that point. You know what I mean? And what did that lead you to do? Is that when you started, let's focus on boxing? That's what it was.
It just led to bad things.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, that's a legitimate statistic. I used to always think like, man, that's just people complaining. You know, what I mean, my parents split it, and I went through a bunch of stuff. But you know what? Look where I am. But when I got older and I started being more mature about it, I'm like, yo, those statistics they give, like there's like an 8 to 1 chance that like you won't finish high school and you might get arrested or the parents splitting automatically, mathematically just creates higher odds of just every negative thing happening. You know what I mean? And when I started observing it in life, as opposed to just assuming when I was younger, I was like, yo, man, this is crazy. You know what I mean? This really does get crazy, you know? And so, it's almost like more psychologically challenging because you're developing as a human being, as a grown man. You're trying to become a grown man, in which, you're doing grown man things, grown man responsibilities, but, you need to understand how that is. And now with your family split, it's harder to figure that out, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it sounds crazy, but I think as far as what I do, as far as being a fighter, it kind of helped me to have that discipline because in those times, like I learned a lot, that I had self-discipline, that I really wanted to box, that I didn't want anything else because I didn't have nobody, my parents telling me, hey, where are you? Do this, go to school. Yeah. I was already, when I was 15, me and him were living together in an apartment. Yeah. So I didn't have nobody tell me, go to school, do this. I dropped out. I didn't go to school at all. And so I could have done whatever.
Yeah, you did. That's how you know you have a passion for it. Same thing with me. My grandfather took me to the gym, and then he was like, "Yo, go." And he wasn't checking on me. I just ended up liking it, and that was it. But that's how you know, because a lot of times you can see these kids, their parents drag them to the gym. Yeah. And I've seen some real talented kids do that. Yeah. But it never turns out well, bro. Yeah. You gotta want it just as much. So with nobody dragging you, you knew that's what you wanted to do. You could have stopped at any given point.
I used to ride a bike to the gym, to a boxing gym, and then ride a bike back home. That was my way to the boxing gym after school every day. So it wasn't like no one forced me. No one forced me to do these fights. That's why I would go to these shows alone, because it was me just running, hit the bag. There's a fight next week? Okay, let's go. And then if my brother couldn't make it, if not, I'd find a ride. And hey, who wants to work my corner? Yeah. And that's how it's been. And,
but you gained your experience.
Yeah, so that's why I said, I found out who I really was, and that I really love this, and I'm really
also
made
the
for
character too.
Yeah.
They say boxing builds character, but in reality, boxing reveals character.
Yeah.
You're gonna see who you really are, just in your overall mentality about your boxing and about your career and just about your training methods and about everything. You can't cut corners in this, and then if you can't cut corners, and when you're in a tough situation and you have cut corners, you pay for it on fight night, and then if you pay enough, you cut enough corners and you keep paying for it on fight night, you're like, man, I don't want to do this, it's just too hard. But when you love it, no matter how hard it is, you always love it more because you just love to rise to the challenges. So you turned pro in 2016, you got your first 3 fights in Mexico, and now you're on the verge here, man. 16-0. Yep. What short-term goals you have? Long-term goals? What's going on?
Honestly, I'm with whatever they bring to the table. I let really, like I told my brother, the opponents and everything, just find me an opponent. Mm-hmm. And that's how I am. I look at every opponent the same, hard or easy. I mean, I just train, expecting, for the best fight, and I want to give out my best performances. But hopefully, I have my first main event by the end of this year. And
who do you rank in your weight class right now when you look at certain names? Because you're at the point now where I'm sure the champions are starting to cross your mind. Yeah. I remember being 1 or 2-0 and thinking like, the guys that are champions right now are not going to be champions when I get to a title shot. But by the time I was at 16-0, I was looking at the champions and thinking I could cross paths with some of these guys. So who are you looking at? Who do you notice right now, or who impresses you? What's your opinion on the landscape of the 130-pound division as a whole?
Right
and
now,
do you expect yourself to stay at that weight class?
I don't expect myself to stay there. I want to. Do
you want to fight for a world title at that weight class?
Yes, yeah. Okay. So I want to get it and maybe defend it, but I want to,
move up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, even right now, if certain fights, I would take out 135 if they're willing to do it. But, right now the champions at 130, I'm not like crazy impressed by them. I'm really not.
Well, Gervonta just decided he's leaving completely, right? So he's never coming back to 130 pounds. Yeah, he's at a higher weight class.
Yeah.
But what you're not impressed about 130. I'm trying to think of 130 pounds right now. Who do we have? We
Oscar Valdez,
Shakur Stevenson,
Herring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of all those? Okay, give me Shakur Stevenson. What do you think about it? Obviously, that's the one that they're talking about like the jewel of the weight class, and maybe even boxing. What are your thoughts on him? Because being a top-ranked fighter, it could be the title shot you get. The winner of this fight here between Shakur and Valdez may be reigning for a little while, unless they could move up, but it could be reigning for a little while. So it might be the title shot you get. What's your thoughts?
I do think, all respect, I do think that, I'll tear them apart. Any Shakur, Oscar Valdez, all the champions. The gold medalist, the Brazilian, the Robinson, the one that
Contestado, yeah.
I sparred him and I lit him up. And that's a fight that I do want as well.
He a top-ranked fighter too?
Yeah, 130 as well. And, for me to get these fights, I think it'll be really hard because I'm really underrated.
You gotta talk, bro. You gotta open your mouth and just let it. When I was
like the talker.
When I was your age, bro, I just disrespected everybody. Get myself. If you don't want to fight me, you're gonna want to fight me at a certain point,
No, I think that comes when my talking comes out when I perform. Like when I spar these guys, I love to talk. And like,
but that also makes them not want to fight you. So, if you don't insult them when everybody sees the insult, then everybody's gonna be like, "Yo, you're gonna let them talk to you like that? Yo, you gotta beat them up." In the gym, I'll be like, "Yo, thank God this was in the gym. I don't never want to see this guy again." It can work against you.
Yeah, I do think I'm gonna have that breaking point very soon where you guys will hear it, and I'm gonna go. Everybody's gonna be targeted, all the champions, and even in the next division for future fights. Because I do feel like I'm one of the best right now, and I don't get the credit for a lot of things. I mean, I haven't done a lot yet. I don't think so.
Well, in terms of your goals, you have higher goals, but of course you want people talking about you, and this is an entertainment business, so you got to have a little bit of a balance of everything. Like Jake Paul can't fight, but look how many people talk about him. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to have a little bit of a balance there, so that people gravitate to you maybe for other reasons, and then be like, "Oh man, this kid can fight." You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of a balance. That's the generation we live in.
Yeah, I just really want to prove I'm the best. And I love to talk to and I love to entertain, but.
So that's what you gotta tell them, bro. I'm gonna show you that I'm the best. I'm the best. That's how I'm telling you. You gotta generate opinions. They may not always like you, but you gotta generate opinions. I feel like I could feel the passion and enthusiasm in you when you talk boxing, but I feel like in terms of what the media and the response they'll give to your tone, they may just look at it like, okay, he's good, but when we see him, we'll see him. If your tone you have to make your words, your voice. You have to make them feel what you feel. I get what you feel. I can sense it. Even if you don't sound enthusiastic. I can say the way you're putting your words together. I know this. You live for this, and I can see from the story that you come from, the background that you come from, bro. Nobody come from that kind of background and just not going to be hungry for it. You know what I mean? So I just want to make sure people are getting out there and understanding you. So that way when you arrive. Like, oh, I knew that kid was gonna be there. You know what I mean? Like I was waiting for this kid to get that shot. Because look, and talking to you, you got me convinced. You know what I mean? Talking to you, I want to say I want to be able to tell people, yo, watch this kid, bro. I want to see him. I want to see him when he steps up. I'm looking forward to seeing him when he's at that level. God, look at your record. You've stepped up pretty well already, but I want to see him fighting the guys people talk about. When you start seeing guys that, you're gonna start seeing your rivals. But you know what? When it gets funny, I'll tell you when it gets funny from my own personal experience. When you start seeing guys you were watching on TV before, because a lot of times you fight like ex-champions and they're fading out when they're trying to bring you up, and when you start fighting these guys that you've been watching on TV for years and stuff, you're like, oh. Now they're across it's sparring is one thing, and they're looking at them across the ring, and you watch these guys for years on TV. You're like, oh man, it's on, man. Like that's when you really start to feel it. But I get the sense of you, man. I actually like your story. And I'm glad I got to hear it because I feel like the human side of boxing is not explained enough. There's so many fighters have a story that most people can relate to. There's a lot of things that people can't relate to with professional athletes. But boxing is such a human sport. You know what I mean? That there's so much relatability to us that they don't get it. People don't get it, and people don't gravitate to it because our stories are not told enough. So I'm glad you got to tell your story here, man. It's because you're gonna make me look forward to seeing you as well. Who were your favorite fighters growing up?
You know, Oscar De La Hoya. You know, right now Canelo Alvarez. I did like Chavez a lot.
Heritage.
You know, I was
Mexican
like,
heritage.
But I also looked up to you. You know, in certain fights.
I just talked a lot.
well, when you beat Juan Diaz.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I remember that fight like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, and you have like a highlight video with the hair and with the headband. I know you've seen that.
I had that
you know?
spiky hair. Yeah.
And so you know, like I looked up to a lot of fighters that. I'm a big fan of boxing. I don't miss a fight. So
again, it's passion though. You know what I mean? When you're passionate, you know, I see sometimes these fighters telling me like, man, I don't watch boxing. I'm like, do you like what you do, bro? Like, I don't know, bro. Like when I was coming up, I don't catch every fight now, I'll be honest. But I try to watch as many as I can. But when I was coming up, bro, I watch everything. Yo, even the club shows on Friday Night Fights. If it was a club show local, I would go attend it. Yo, you just gotta live it because you feel like you can't. It makes you want to get in there and do it again. You know what I mean? It makes you want to get in there and look forward to the next day and train again. So, you know, you got to start out as being a fan of boxing.
No, yeah, I love watching sparrings. I love watching whatever, even if it's like, you know, them backyard boxing. I watch it. You know, I sit on YouTube, watch those for hours. So anything that got to do with,
you know, what's funny?
Boxing.
I used to watch a lot of stuff, but if guys really sucked, I would be like, yo, I'm not watching this guy. Yo, I felt like guys, they would make me worse. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, yo, I'm not watching these guys because something they're doing is gonna stay in my head. It's gonna mess up my timing. You know, it's like, but I get what you're saying, man. I get, but that was mostly in camp. Like when I was in camp, if I wasn't in camp, I'll watch anything. But if I was in camp, like my mind is focused a certain way, and I would start watching these guys that suck. I'll be like, yo, I'm not watching these guys, man, because they're gonna mess up my routine, the way my brain is working right now. You know, it was crazy. It was funny. Where do you see yourself end of your career? Ambitions, goals?
I definitely want to be a unified champion, and especially like now, early on, and I want to move up weight classes, and you know, I want to come out you know, healthy and on my terms, of course, like any fighter would want to come out, and but I do see myself being multiple division champion and honestly one of the best. That's what I'm aiming for, being one of the best, and I know I can be. I believe in myself, and I mean, you know,
it's the daily grind, man. You just live it, and you think about your goals and you think about your dreams every day as you're going through that grind, man. I used to think about it, but I used to think about it every day. I used to drive into the gym. My mind would just start daydreaming about, you know, where I wanted to be and how I wanted to change my life and how I wanted to, you know, achieve certain things. Jogging, you know, I'd be jogging. I'd be thinking about, you know, my trainer picking me up with my world championship. You know what I mean? I'd be jogging, thinking about that. You know, like it's a great time to come up the ladder. You know, I people sometimes they get so caught up, and they always do. I'll be honest with you. When you're coming up the ladder, you're thinking always ahead. Your goals naturally. You never really get to appreciate the journey until it's over, and you're like, yo, remember when I was that age and I was thinking, I had this way of mentality, this way of life mentality. My mindset was like this, like, because you can't ever repeat that. At a certain age, that goes away, you know, and it doesn't come back, you know, but you can kind of remember feeling that. So the way you feel right now, but I'm telling you, don't forget it, because eventually there comes a time in your life when it goes away and you look back on it and be like, man, remember when I used to feel like that? That was crazy, like that, just that fire. You know what I mean? That you know, life gives you different things. Eventually, you know, you get older, you retire, you appreciate everything you've done, you appreciate the work you put in, but the way you feel in this moment, you know what I mean? Like you're always thinking ahead, but looking back, when I look back, I say to myself, man, I sometimes miss feeling like that. You know, like I wanted to get all the money and I wanted to get all the championships, and I got caught up in looking ahead, and I didn't get to enjoy the moment. You know, so remember these moments, man. I always tell people too. At the time I was coming up, we didn't have smartphones and camera phones, you know. So, and people used to always tell me, record a lot of stuff as much as you can. Bro, what am I gonna carry around a random camera with me? You know what I mean? Like, it was a lot harder. You guys have these smartphones now. Record everything. I'm telling you, footage of everything, man. Footage of training, footage of press conferences, your own footage of you being out among friends, you discussing boxing. I'm telling you, bro. You're gonna look. It may sound stupid right now, but in 10 years, you're gonna wish you had some of this footage. I know I wish I had more than I have, man. So,
well, it feels amazing right now. Like I do look back, like
and record it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It feels amazing recording because I'm telling you, in 10 years,
Yeah.
it's gonna feel different, but it's gonna feel cool to look at it and know how you felt in that moment. Record everything, even the stupid stuff. I told the Charles was this, and they started doing this, and now they just recording everything, man. I'm telling you, it's because I can sense the passion you guys have and the enthusiasm you guys have, and I'm telling you, man, it's like. The way you feel right now, you want to remember it, man. I'm telling you. You don't want it to go away, but eventually it does because you get older and you move on in life. But you want to never forget this, and to be able to see it is even cooler than just having a picture in your head. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean it's a great feeling right now because when I walk into these venues, here at these casinos, big casinos, you know, these guys are coming in 5, 10 guys in their team, right? You know, it's just me, my brother pulling up in our car, going to the venue, just me and him, you know? So I think about that after weigh-ins when everybody's away. I think about that and I'm like, man, you know, I made it. All these companies, you know, promotional companies want to sign me. And I'm just thinking back like, you know, it feels good.
Simple beginnings, humble beginnings,
and it's just,
and break down barriers.
No managers, no nothing, just me and my brother. And that's what makes it feel good. So, you know, I do look back and I'm like, wow, you know, like especially when I got the first round knockout because, you know, odds were against me. I was supposed to lose. You know, we took that fight quick. You know, big opportunity.
That? You guys want to watch that real quick?
We could put the clip in,
yeah. Could we get the computer? I have it, yeah.
You know, this was a guy that, you know, was a couple punches away from knocking out Oscar Valdez, which is the champion, you know, tough guy.
Which is the guy who's now fighting in a unified world championship fight, of course.
So, you know, they were saying, oh, you should win, just win, box him, do whatever. So in my head, you know, I was even telling my brother, you know, I felt like a lot of people weren't thinking I would be able to hurt him. So I was just like, okay. So that's what made me work extra hard to get the knockout. I want to knock him out. And so, you know, anyways, after that fight, I was like, wow. You know, that was the best feeling ever. First round knockout with a guy that was supposed to beat me.
Yeah, in a 50-50 fight, right? Yeah.
In Oklahoma. Other than my Mexico fights, I've only fought in Vegas. So that was my first time.
That was your traveling in a while.
You seen it, Paulie?
Let's check it out.
All right. Bang.
Angle too. Wow. Yeah, he's out, bro.
Put the slow motion one.
Yeah. I think it was to the. Look at that side step. That's everything right there. You see, for anybody watching that step around right there after the right hand. That's from the training, bro. That step around. Look how you set up another angle off the train. Now I'm being an analyst there. Boom. And then that's why he doesn't see the hook coming. For everybody watching at home, you understand how this knockout is created. Right hand, side step, hook. The hook, he never sees the hook coming. You see that, man? Yo, when somebody used to make that move on me, I used to just try to fall into them, just try to smother them, try to bulldoze my way in that way. And he stood there, and that sidestep was great.
I promise that's going to happen to all the champions.
Right
I'm going to end them just like that.
And that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. Want to hear with enthusiasm, because obviously they're gonna disagree with you. They're gonna tell. What are you gonna say? When they disagree with you, then you gotta have your answer back waiting for them. You going to sleep or something. You know what I mean?
I promise. You know, we're hearing it first. You know, I do believe.
Because you know what it is, bro. When you tell somebody you're gonna kick their ass. Yeah. It's not believable if you say it too nice. So you know what I'm saying? So you gotta. There's like people are like, oh, they're like Trey, but this has to be a level of disrespect when you say something like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not meant to be respectful. You know. But yo, well, that was a great knockout. We look forward to seeing more of you, Andres. Good stuff.
Thank you.
I'm glad you got to come on the show and give your story. Louis, thank you, man, as well for coming on, man.
Thank you for the education and the life experience.
Absolutely.
It's going to stay with us.
Absolutely. And record everything, man. I'm telling you. Record everything. When you get out of the car, just you guys, and you guys are record, you guys walking into the arena and just what you see and just talking to the camera, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, it sounds so stupid, even 15 seconds.
No, I'm glad you said that.
Get these little clips.
It was already part of our marketing campaign for this fight. So you're going to see a whole lot more stuff.
Good. And even, like I said, even if it doesn't get used in marketing, I'm telling you, later on, you're going to see these films, these videos. I'm telling you, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, like, yo, remember this? When we did this? It looks stupid.
Paulie, if you could give Team Cortes some advice right now from where we're at, like personal. I want it raw and real. I don't want no hard feelings.
Personal advice, as you go up the ladder, I tell you what's gonna happen. Like you go up the ladder, you're gonna be making more money. You're gonna have more success. You're gonna have people coming out that are going to start asking you for things, favors. And what I noticed, people used to warn me about this stuff, but it wasn't as obvious, you know. Like so, people are like, oh, people gonna start asking you for money. Are people gonna want to be your friends that weren't your friends before? And I was like, yeah, I can see that happening, but it happens in a subtle way. Like you'll have what'll happen is, here's what I noticed, and what the things I used to hear before I became champion, and things I look back on now. Here's a big thing that I remember. People say, oh, people change, man. You know, they become famous, people change. You know, they make money, people change. Some people do change, I'll be honest. I've seen people do change. But in my perspective, I always tried to keep my feet on the ground as much as possible. And I'll say this. The main change that happens when you get to that level is people change towards you. They look at you differently. Even your own friends, your own family look at you differently. So automatically, if you don't make that pivot and change towards them back, they're going to eat you up. Even your own people, you know what I mean? Expecting things, wanting things. Automatically, they change towards you because they weren't like that before. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, the change towards them forces you to change. Don't get me wrong. Some people get there and they want to change themselves. Like they get their head is big, their nose up in the air and whatever. But the thing is, a lot of people you knew before change towards you, and also other strangers come into the picture as well. So you've got to also know how to balance that without coming off too arrogant, but at the same time still understanding how to protect yourself. You may lose friends and people may get mad nonetheless. You can't make everybody happy, but you've got to understand how to properly balance that so you don't look like the guy who just changed out of arrogance, but at the same time, you did have to make that adjustment towards people because they will change on you. Because here's the thing, I noticed another thing too. Those people that do ask you for money, they don't hit you with the, yo, man, I need, let me hold something. I want to get that Rolex, you know, it's not that simple. It's not that cut and dry. Like that's easy to say no to, right? I would get calls like this. I'll give it to you like this. Got plenty of these. I suckered me in like I didn't even realize it was happening. Yo, man, how you been good? Yeah, I've been good. I just, you know, my kid is, you know, he's sick. We've been dealing with a lot. I'm like, and you'll be like, oh man, it's messed up, man. I'm sorry to hear that, man. You know, he's good. He's gonna get better. Yeah, you know, we've been dealing with a lot. I've been taking him to the doctor or whatever, or you know. I can't get him to the doctor because my car is you know they totaled it and we had no car and I'll be like, oh, that's messed up. You don't even realize that they're actually gonna ask you for the new car. You don't even realize that they're gonna ask you for the money. You don't even realize that they're gonna ask you for that. So now you've been empathetic the whole conversation. I mean, they drag out the conversation. You've been empathetic the whole 5-10 minutes, like, you know, being real supportive. You know, trying to, because you also realize that being supportive from you personally, that you're a public figure now, probably means more to them, and you want to make them feel better. Man, ain't nothing to do with it, man. As soon as they hit you up for like 5-10 minutes of that, you think you got some of that. You know, I could get that, so like I could help myself, or I could. Now you're an asshole if you don't help them. You know what I mean? Now you're like, oh God, like. You got me. You know what I mean? So now I learned to like keep those. I learned to keep those short. Now I can see them coming, but at the time I didn't see them coming. And I had the warnings, but I just didn't get the warnings of how it happens. You know, listen. At the end of the day, you're gonna choose to help some people, obviously. You know, but you can help some people. You can't help everybody. Otherwise, the ship sinks with you on it. You know what I mean? You're trying to keep the ship steady. You know, and people don't realize also. This doesn't last forever, you know. So it's if you start getting too many hands in the pot, you know, end up with too many chiefs and not enough Indians, bro. You're the chief, and that's it. You know what I mean? You guys right here, you guys built this empire. Where it's going, wherever it's gonna go, you built this empire. So you call the shots, and there's gonna be some times where people are not gonna like it. You know, some people are not gonna like that. Even people that may have been close to you, they're not gonna like it. You know, but. If you got to make sure you protect yourselves first, because you started this road from nothing, you know, and it's going to a place where it's becoming more and more valuable, and the more value it picks up, the more you're going to attract these kind of things, both from strangers and from people close to you. So that's the advice I will give you.
Thank you.
You got it, man. Yo, this is we hope you enjoyed this episode. Andres Cortes, his brother Louis. Look out for them in the on your local ESPN, right? Top rank as ESPN. User on the Shakur Stevenson card.
Yep.
What's going to happen on April 30th?
Another knockout.
The knockout. He likes to call his knockouts. He likes to train for his knockouts. Look for Andres Cortes on the Shakur Stevenson Oscar Valdez card, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Paulie TV episode. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think of these interviews. Let us know what you think of Andres Cortes, and I hope we've made you a few new fans today.
Thank you.
Till next time. Later, guys.